And we are live. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us for the episode of the Escaping Success podcast. I'm one of the hosts, Tom Leffler. It's my co-host,
A.D. Factory.
And today I thought we'd touch upon, just like we mentioned it probably now, maybe 20 or 15 episodes ago, relationships.
Yes.
And so, I don't think I ever really asked you, like, okay, you've been married now to Shalape for how many years?
This is going to be 4 years come November.
And putting you on the spot, but what's like you'd say the biggest takeaways or lessons you've learned in this marriage about yourself, about relationships, do's and don'ts for young men, myself, like, you know, getting into or in a future relationship, what's things that you should look out for, and how to have a successful or happy marriage, quote unquote.
That's interesting. I think in many ways that question is a little complicated, but I'm going to try to boil it down and be as simple as possible. So I think in relation to like my relationship specifically, and then I'll talk about generalities. I think that, you know, when I met my wife, I was the first one to kind of actually not when I met my wife, but when I like indicated interest, like I was the one who was like ahead, like I liked her, like, right? So before she liked me, or in other words, I was like, hey, like, you know, we should be together, kind of thing. And then it's like, oh, okay, we should be together because that's her response, right? So I think that right there should sum it up. It's like this constant pursuit of the other person, because I think in a lot of ways where things go sour is when someone just assumes that or doesn't pursue their wife again, like, you know,
Almost was good.
You don't do things that are meaningful, or you don't listen to them, or you don't like, I guess in other words, you don't care for them in a way, in manner in which like they want to be cared for. But at the end of the day, like, people like want to be loved, right? So in a relationship, I think that's one of the best places to love the person. But unfortunately, if someone has not dealt with a lot of their traumas in their life, they actually end up hurting the people that they're closer to, because there's a duality in like an intimate relationship where someone who is a life partner, and that you spend so much time with them that they actually do become an extension of yourself. And if you treat yourself if you treat yourself terribly, or you disregard a lot of like your own kind of like, you're not good to yourself in general, you're probably not going to be good to that other person. And I also think, in addition to that, both of you are completely imperfect. And if people are not, the word isn't coachable, but aren't open-minded to like receive criticism or receive,
like, get defensive.
Get defensive, or don't seek to like improve. That could be a huge barrier to like, or even huge obstacle to like the marriage. Because I mean, if there's like a common issue that you have, like something that actually the other person doesn't like, and you're not even trying to understand why that person is frustrated with that particular characteristic that you may have, you're never even going to try to change it. And then that's going to lead to resentment, bitterness, and potentially even separation. So I think that's like one thing. And then now talking in general about marriage in general, I really do feel like people need to value like the commitment. It's like a vow. It's a vow. It's like a covenant. Like, it's like, yo, listen, like, I'm gonna be with you through sickness and in health, through better and for worse. So, you know, in that case, divorce is off the table at every instant. So if you have that kind of mentality that divorce is off the table, I really do feel you look at a lot of difficulties differently. So that was like kind of like micro and then macro perspective on kind of like where we're at.
So like going in, like like a big thing I look for, like before we got to the divorce, is like, okay, this person being able to almost like admit and be aware of their flaws, and then also have not like too much of like an ego or a chip on their shoulder to be like, to take criticism and to like work on things that like may really bother you or the other partner in some sense that like you're saying it's like one.
No, not necessarily. I mean, literally, you love someone and you really don't really know them because human beings are like onions. Like situations in our life causes us to peel. So you may not even know who someone really is.
So you get tested.
Yeah, until you get tested, and you know sometimes when things happen in life. So and then the series of things can lead to more outer shells of the onions being peeled. So I think what I mean by no divorce on the table is like no matter who you are at your core, I love you. You know, so it's like you work through all that stuff, and you never have a heart of like I'm gonna walk out if this happens, or I'm gonna walk out if so and so happens, because that's not what unconditional love is.
Mm-hmm.
There's no conditions.
Now, did you have this conversation prior to getting married with your wife, or is this
About divorce? No,
No.
because it's not even on the table. Like it's legitimately not on the table.
Oh, I'm just saying, like, did you ever like ask her before you got married, like, hey, like,
Oh, what are breakup like? Yeah,
what
of course.
are your
Like
views
what?
on divorce?
Or not even divorce. Like what are? Because that's the thing. It's not on the table for me.
Mhm.
Like I don't even like that's not.
But for her perspective,
But what I said was it's like what are things that like are absolute no's, like what are like
Non-negotiables.
deal breakers, like yeah like what are like things that are not like, you know, when someone does something and someone says, oh, you're dead to me, or like you're literally like you know will call somebody to actually like cut you off, because some people are married, right, and they're not.
Oh yeah, they're not
Yeah,
there. They're
you're
checked
not
out.
there. Exactly. So I think that's more important because me and my wife are type of people that divorce not on the table, right? That's just our personality.
Mhm.
So,
And I think that's
I'm not thinking about that. What's more important is the more realistic fact of like, okay,
Being
not being
present.
checked off, you know? Because you also have to realize like the person's characteristic. Because like we're the type of people that's not even on the table, right? So, okay, now we've addressed that without even addressing that.
Yep.
But now it's like, how do we not become checked out?
Where you're just like coexisting in the same house.
Exactly.
Yes.
Or sleeping in different rooms, because there's people who are married
Oh,
that sleep in different rooms. Like there's so much like disarray and things of that nature, which
Oh, yeah.
I feel is completely unhealthy. That's like crazy. How could you? Oh no, I need my space. There's a difference between having your different sink, having different showers, than not sharing the same bed.
Mhm.
That's crazy.
Are you ready for this crazy thing? Side tangent though, but so I'm like big in like the health and like biohacker community, and a lot of these guys like I don't think
Okay.
they have like relationship issues, but for like sleep optimization,
Mhm.
they're sleep divorced in the sense where like their relationship's fine, but they either sleep in the same bedroom but in separate beds,
Yeah.
or they sleep in separate rooms because they want better sleep. Like that's where it's like
Yeah.
you get when you try to optimize too much, and like I was on that path where like I was like, you know, like the best sleep, the best workout, the best supplement, and then I realized like, okay, so maybe being in a relationship,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be, you know, the fittest or the you know, have the best sleep if I sit next to somebody, but my general well-being will be better, and it would be more longevity in health and fitness if I have like a better physical, emotional connection with somebody.
Yeah.
Versus like I might not look the best for like a couple of years, but like longevity in that pursuit would be better.
Yeah, but I mean, from my perspective, I'll just look at that as being selfish, right?
100%.
Because it's like, all right, dude, all right, you want to sleep better? That's great, but it's like, there's so many other things you can do in your life to optimize. Like, you know, if you eat clean, if you can take a nap during the day. Like, if you're taking a nap by yourself, there's no issue with that.
You gotta
Like,
look at these guys. These guys are crazy.
I know, but it's like, you know, but again, that's like a wedge, right? So it starts off as that, and it becomes something else.
It's a one
It's
time
like,
paper
oh,
cut.
and then out of nowhere, it's like, okay, out of nowhere now, it's like, well, we're not having sex enough, or because once you start doing little things like that, like physically to
Full
separate
micro
one another,
tears.
eventually you're gonna grow apart. It's just
It's like
very
the dam.
natural.
It's like it's poking holes.
Yeah, literally, bro.
And like it's like little holes.
Because that's what I would be concerned about with that kind of behavior.
Oh,
Because
1,000%.
it's, you know, for you to even consider that, it's like, you know, it's kind of wild. Because when you go into the marriage, that's like you kind of look forward to waking up beside the person that you love, right? So how do you go from waking up beside the person you love to straight up like,
I'll be in the room better sleep.
like that's crazy. That even speaks to the person's heart condition or their heart towards that other person,
That's it.
because that they can even see them as not being part optimal for their well-being. How about this? I actually sleep better when my wife is beside me. Like, I'm actually not comfortable when she's not beside me.
That's a beautiful thing.
But you know what I mean? It's like,
It's also a frame of mind.
yeah, it is a frame of mind. But like, I feel again, it's like, in addition to that, part of a relationship is sacrifice. Like, there's things that you want to do, and you still can do them, but you have to make sacrifices. So like, all right, great, I love a podcast, right? But I enjoy this time that we spent together. But in order for me to experience this and enjoy this, I have to make a sacrifice. And for me, that now, what that looks like on a week-to-week basis is waking up at, like, 4:45, or now it's 4:20, so I can get here at 5 a.m. So it's like, and it's not going to affect my relationship because I left the house, she's still sleeping. So it's like, by the time I come back, she's either sleeping or awake, and then we still have our time later. But like, that's like the thing you have to do, because it's like, all right, she understands I want to do the podcast, but I also understand that it's important to have family time. So it's like, you have to like balance and count the cost. Like, it's like,
Everything
how
has
much
a
is this?
cost.
How much is this? It's costing you.
Because that's the deal. I think we touched on this before, but people don't realize that everything has a cost.
100%.
Even good things have costs.
Yeah.
Like,
Going to the gym,
financial success,
eating clean,
physical body,
bro. Financial success, like,
that's a cost.
takes a lot of your time. Like, in order for you,
family time might
family
be
time, yeah. In order for you to be compensated well, you have to provide value to the measure or above the financial breakthrough, or you have to help people in a way that is above, like, the norm. So what does that mean? In your 24 hours, you're probably devoting it to that thing.
But I think going back into relationships, I think it's important, and it's something I failed prior to my relationships, is like communicating that this is a season of life
Yeah.
where, like, hey, I'm dedicating all this time, all this energy to accomplish this. So in our future, like, our kids will be able to do this, or when we're together, we have more cushion. We're not financially stressed. And that's something I think I failed to vocalize.
Yeah.
Also, I realized, like, it's a weird trap that I could get into, is like, cause like, I personally could go like monk mode, just work, and then it's not healthy with like a relationship, because then I'm like not present, and then like I'm just like focused on this one thing.
Yeah.
So it's a weird balancing act that I'm like still trying to figure out. It's like, okay, like I do want to have like that financial cushion. I do want to provide and like be more present with my kids. So I do want more work in now, but also like when acquiring a new relationship, like you gotta put like time and energy in. So it's like it's like
Even an existing relationship.
It's what I'm saying. It's like, this old me, I'm aware though, like I would be like, okay, I'd be like, okay, single time, okay, let's acquire a girlfriend, okay, put work in, acquire a girlfriend. Once they say, okay, I'm your girlfriend, back to work mode. So it's like,
settled.
It's like checked
Sale
in.
closed.
Yeah, sale closed, and it's like that door's closed. Okay, so let's just say there's a pie. Okay, so single Tom who wants a girlfriend, he puts like 30% effort into acquiring a girlfriend, into that relationship. He puts 50% effort into work. He puts another 20% into like fitness, health, relationships, like friendships.
Yeah.
Okay. Once girlfriend acquired, that bucket goes from 30% down to 5%, and then the 25% goes more to work.
Yeah.
Like that was my old mindset,
100%.
and I caught myself, it was a pattern. I caught myself keep doing that, and I realized like it led to like just distance in the relationship. Like they would feel like that wasn't there. Like they just like felt like I neglected them, and it just led to resentment and just back and forth, like not a healthy like thing, because it just wasn't there. And but it's a cost. There is a cost, because like in that time, where I would like be working more, another hour, 2 hours a day maybe. Like I choose now to devote to relationship, but I see that building a long term. If it's for my long term like happiness and like fulfillment in a relationship versus just I guess ego and maybe like more pursuits like financially, if that makes sense, or business wise.
And I think also in life, like I think this is where like we're different, and that I truly don't take it seriously. Like this whole like financial thing, like it's important. Don't get me wrong. Like you have to feed my family, I have to pay my bills. But I'm not really that like concerned. Like
Because you're a full faith in God.
yeah,
and God's
like
hands.
I'm not really that concerned because at the end of the day, it's like all right, like I know I'm gonna get what's mine, and I'm gonna put in the work that I have to put in. But like there's multiple days, like I wouldn't say multiple, but there's days that like 2 o'clock, I'm like, I'm getting out of here. Like, I'm not going to stay here until 4. Like, I actually am not. I'm actually going to leave. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because I want to go home. Like, I want to, like, I'm done. Like, yesterday I left work and, I stayed, a little past time, but it's like, I know I still had more work to do. I could have came home and just did all that work first. But I already called my wife. I was like, hey, listen, we're going to just go on a walk and stuff like that. Like I'm just really like tired, like not tired, but like I just really want to like get like not think of work and stuff like that. So we just went to downtown Westfield and just walked around for like an hour and stuff. And then it's like okay. Then I came home and I was like, do I want to do work? No, I don't want to do it. So I was in my mind, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to bed. But I was like, but if I don't get it done tonight, it's gonna be on my to-do list day. So I just got all the stuff done, but it's like. I'm not as like rigid with myself because I kind of told myself, oh, I'm gonna do it for a walk and come home and do it. But I was like, at the end of the day, like I don't have to do this tonight. Like I really don't have to. But it is in my best interest to do it. But that I had enjoyed family time because I realized that that's more important to me. Like being with baby Deer and my wife because my daughter's at my grandma's having a good time. But it's like, dude, like that's actually why I'm working. Like to spend more time with my family. So if I don't spend more time with my family, I'm not going to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that I think that's also super important. But going back to optimization, I think as a man and someone who knows what your work entails of you, you have to optimize. So that's where you have to let go of your ego and find people who can do what you're doing, even at a lower capacity, so that you have more time to yourself. Because there's no point in being a business owner and you are a slave to the business.
It's funny you say because like one thing I've been it's like a mind exercise that I've been working on, and like I tell myself it's like I'm not a business because I'm still an operator, business operator, not a business owner.
Yeah.
So like I'm like like my morning affirmation, like I'm a business owner, not an operator, because basically all I have right now is just like I'm just a employee to the business.
Yes.
I'm self-employed to the business. I'm not a business owner because a business owner, a real business
Step away.
And
everything will be 100% okay.
And it's fine. That's a real business, and that's where I'm working towards.
You just
the business.
gotta let go. Like it's that simple.
Yeah.
Like literally make the decision to just like swallow the pride.
I gotta hire.
and let go.
I gotta hire somebody to fill my role.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
100%.
Like I have the best systems, everything. I mean, I got a call last night at like 8:20. Like somebody in the parking lot at a pool fell and like cracked their head open. Like so,
Yeah.
it just I need somebody
In the parking lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
I need somebody to be responsible.
Parking lot of a pool, but is that like? But you don't own that property, right?
No, but the manager was there, so I called EMS. Did the whole thing. 'Cause he was only like adult
that's
supervisor
wild,
and stuff.
bro.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's no backlash on you concerning that, though.
No.
It's just that you were roped in lieu of one of your employees being involved in
'Cause he was
the
there.
identification and
Yes.
and
he handled it tremendously. Like he stabilized the woman's head. Called EMS. They got there. She was bleeding out of her
But
head.
still. Did that wire you up or no?
Oh, 1,000%. I got that call at 8:30, and I baby fell asleep. I was rolling around in bed. Maybe I fell asleep at like 12.
And why were you up? Restless.
Just like a lot, because like a lot on my mind of like things like this. I'm like, how do I like put system or something procedure?
That you don't listen to, you don't hear this till the morning.
Yeah, like how can I do that?
Yeah.
And like I think the answer is not how can I do it. It might be like who can I put there to do it?
100%.
That's the right question.
100%.
I kept asking the wrong question because like that's the thing. It's just like we could have the best systems and procedures, but there's an inevitability of just like with managing people like we do. There's things that you can't plan for.
100%.
And so you need somebody to respond instead of it being me or my dad. Like have somebody that like it has to be probably 2 people because like they're not pretty
Or
safe.
3. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
how many people. You just
Yeah.
have to relinquish control.
Yeah, but
You
just
have to
like finding
literally
those competent
relinquish
people.
and allowing them to also bump up a little bit.
Yeah.
like mess up because like they are gonna mess up because they're not you.
Yeah. And it's just like yeah.
It's like relinquish control.
Yeah. So like that's
And your life's gonna be better if you do that, man. Like you're gonna actually have more time to allocate towards Apollo Fuel.
Yeah.
Like like there's so many passion projects that you have. Like you being an operator in Apollo Fuel initially, it's fine. Like you know what I mean? It's a new project, but like you learning how to relinquish this business is gonna help you tremendously in the long run.
Like instead of having like 1 or 2, I could have like 20 because then I could just be
Or
like
50 or 100,
Yeah.
you know. So like you can sky's the limit when you've relinquished control.
and put like people in systems. That's the goal, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's I guess it's undoing. I'm aware of it, just like conscious patterns because I think you default to become your parents.
Yes, of course.
And so I'm aware that I was very similar to my father, which wasn't a bad thing
Mhm.
because like he's one of the hardest
Very
people.
successful.
Yeah, one of the hardest
Very
people I know.
successful.
But I realized like okay, this is leading me a path where I'm going to be numb and make work my only priority, and that's like my God.
Yeah.
And I realized that, so I'm like it's my natural desire
Yeah.
to work and put work first. And I have to like step back and like it's cool. I've been more aware. It's like no, we're not going to do that.
Yeah,
But it's
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
it's
But
just
it's still there.
It's my default. I'm aware of it. It's like my default to go numb and just work.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, even like the last I guess probably since like May, like the first second week of May, I haven't been feeling as much as I have
Yeah.
prior to that. Because like I was in a really good place, like feeling hot, like mostly like highs, lows, like ups and downs, like. And since then, it's kind of been like more just like it's like a little paper, but it's less and less. It's just like less phase, less emotion, and so like it's hard because like I'm always anticipating something going wrong. Like I'm anticipating that call.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm waiting for that. Like I think
Yeah.
that's a problem. I haven't fully put people in place where I'm not always like in the back of my head I get that call where I got to react to something.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
And you also just have to be logical, right? So in every single crazy thing that's happened, like you're okay at the end,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I mean, I feel like part of that is like our brains are very primal in that, like it's very similar to like Neanderthals. Like Neanderthals, when there was a huge monster outside, or what's it called, dinosaur, like they were like freaking out because they're like, frick, like all my kids and my family, all the stuff I hunted, I'm gonna get murdered for it by this wild animal.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like that impending doom in relation to death or something bad happening. Our brains, although we're smarter, hasn't really changed from that. So when you consider all these things happening, your brain thinks it's gonna kill you or like it's the end.
End game, yeah.
And it's not the end game, because in every situation of all the crazy things that happened in business, it's not ended you. And ironically, if you stress out over everything and you're tired, you're actually not going to make good decisions.
100%.
So it's like kind of like that duality of like, dude, like if I stress out over this all the time, it's not going to make me, oh yeah, I figured this would happen, but it's like, bro, you just exhausted yourself. Like worrying is like probably one of the most unnatural thing to do. Like literally anticipate something that hasn't happened yet and continue to create different scenarios and things.
And the problem is like every time like something does happen, it's like
It fits in that. It
it's
fits
like,
in
it's
that.
a confirmation bias.
It's a self-fulfilling
It's
prophecy.
like, oh, good thing you were, or good thing you weren't fully like present because you were on that.
So you didn't let your guard down or something.
Yeah, 1,000%.
It's like you heard what I said about the whole situation. Like very like I was like, oh, so like what does the parking lot have to do with your responsibility, right?
It has nothing to do with
Or
it.
another question I'd ask is like, what is the backlash that you can have from your person saving? That's actually good PR.
Oh, what the person did was he actually like again, he didn't have to do it,
Yeah.
and like it wouldn't have been anything negative, but the fact that he did and how he
He
handled
went
it,
above and stepped
oh,
beyond.
and beyond, and like that's why that's why we
So he's a good person.
oh, he was tremendous. He handled that like better than anybody could. He was a football coach like this.
And what was his intention in calling you? Like, why did he call you?
Just to notify me, let me know, like, how do I, like, what's the procedure moving forward? I told him, like, okay, in the back of the logbook is incident report, just document what happened. And the thing, too, like, old me would contact the general manager and let him know, but I'm like, hey, here's his number, contact the general manager. So he let the
Smart.
because he was only, it was 8:30 at night, so no one was there. So I used to, like, relay the message, but I'm like, here, you were there, contact. So little things, because, like, instead of it being like, you know, a 5-10 minute phone call with him, and then maybe another like 5 or 10 minutes, like an email and calling the general manager. I'm like, hey, this guy was here, he handled the situation, here's the general manager's phone number, please contact him.
That makes sense.
So that was one step to relinquish.
Yeah.
Because like old me would be like, okay, I'll call general manager, relay it. So I'm like, okay, you handle it, you were there, document that, move
100%.
forward. Yeah.
100%.
But it's, you know, it's unwiring. And I'm
Yeah,
in
but
the
after
process.
that, I mean, your evening was probably like different.
Oh.
Because you get it, things are going well, you get on the call, you come back and you're numb, right? Because, you know, again, it's like, oh, I really don't want to deal with this.
And it affected, like, you know, it affected, like, yeah, it's,
So,
yeah, it makes a difference. And like, and that's the thing is,
and then you also want to escape that. So, because again, it's like, you know, sometimes like we treat the symptom, but we don't actually treat what's going on. It's like, oh, when that thing happens, or you're trying to escape that situation. Actually, the problem is not the situation that happened; it's the thought processes prior to that thing happening. Because again, like you said, oh, I was kind of like wired and prepared for this. So it's like, well, that's actually what's leading to the escape. Because we only have so much self-will. Like, no matter how strong of a person you are, the only thing you can do is use self-will on something for a long period of time, and then it becomes a habit. You don't need to use self-will for it. But if you're using so much of your self-will and like thinking of, you know, scenarios of what-if scenarios, you're actually going to tire yourself out. So when they actually do happen, you're going to need to escape, because it's like, you've been like, you know, you've been kind of like
balled up.
Yeah, exactly.
And just release it. And that was the past. Like, that's why I used to be like, I think the binge eating and stuff was more of a problem. And now it's like, I don't, like, I've accepted it,
Yeah.
which I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. Like, I've accepted, like, and I would be like those type of calls, like, it doesn't throw me over the edge.
Yeah.
In the past, it used to throw me over the edge. It doesn't anymore. So I've accepted, like, okay, this is just the way it is right now.
Yeah.
Until I, like, you know, hire a CEO or hire people to respond to these calls.
Yeah.
It's just the situation that it is. Or, you know, it might just be an inevitability of being in this type of business. You know,
Yeah.
like, this is just like, it's a very unique business where there's like, you know,
There's risk.
High
There's a lot
risk.
of lull, but then there could be risk at any point.
because I'm saying, like, when things are running smoothly, like, for the most part,
So easy.
it's like, you know, everything, but then, you know, we got a throw up here, you got, I had like three throw ups, you know, not even 5 days.
And you're like,
2
bro,
poops and 3 throw ups, like, this is crazy. And then,
a kid pooping in the pool?
yeah, 2 poops in the pool, 2 kids threw, and 3 throw up, 3 kids threw up in the pool in 5 days. Because I have different pool locations, but this is like,
It's like, bro, what are you guys doing? Like,
yeah, all different pools.
God.
And so, like, that's the stuff that's just like, you know, that stuff, like, and that's not that
Comes
it's
with the
funny,
territory.
but like, I'm like, it
It's
doesn't
like,
bother me.
it's ridiculous. Yeah.
But like, more so the safety,
Yeah.
like, the real safety concern is like the issue, and like that is stuff like that.
But it's still annoying to shut down the pool for 2 hours and
Oh, yeah,
deal
sure.
with the
Yeah.
complaints and all that stuff. Get someone out there.
Yeah, it's a whole thing, but it's not that bad. But I do realize the cost.
Of you trying to be a self-employed.
Because I'm not as present.
Yeah, bro, and it's not going to be possible with the family, bro, to have that type of energy.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And that's why I'm like trying to do it now, and do, because like I don't want to be that, because I mean, Grant, my father,
He did it.
he
Yeah.
did it like better than any
course.
person could do, because the business was probably 10 times as stressful because it just wasn't as efficient with other things, and he was teaching, you know, and like coaching, like doing all this stuff, and like he still was like there, but he wasn't there.
He was not there, bro.
He was not there.
Those other things were to try to get his mind off of those things, but
Yeah.
his mind was always on.
He was never there.
It's very interesting. It's like, you know, it's like obsession. Obsession is part, an element to success, but
It's a
in
cost.
order for you to stay, like, you know, stay in that good position, you kind of have to relinquish the obsession.
It's a cost.
You have to say, this is what I do, kind of thing. Yeah, but it is a cost.
And so that's why like I'm very conscious now
Of those.
of those patterns
And
and
it's
stuff.
tough to break out when it's been instilled. You know, wet concrete
For-
is easier to
For
mold.
25 years, that's all you
Yeah.
know.
Wet concrete is easier to mold than solidified hard concrete.
That's why I love seeing like different. I'm just so curious, like, you know, going over to people's houses or past, like, you know, relationships, like seeing how family dynamics interact, like their parents, and like just like, you know, seeing like going over for, you know, like like previous like girlfriends relationships, like going over for dinner and it's like okay, it's like 7 o'clock, and like the dad's fully there,
Wow.
and like the parents and like they have a normal conversation where it's not work related, versus like you know if I go over to my parents' house at like 7, 8 o'clock for dinner, 80-90% of the conversation is work.
Till now,
Still,
what are they working on?
the business like that's all like
Still the pool business.
Mhm.
So how
Because so much of the identity is wrapped up into it.
what's his role now? Your dad?
So he's more of like he doesn't do anything like I guess like paperwork or admin side things. He likes to like be hands on. So he likes to like go to like the pools physically
Okay.
and like do work that I guess for he likes to do it. Like he has to do like more of like the manual side of things. He doesn't touch any
He hates the
payroll,
operations. Yeah.
paperwork, none of that. Like you know human resources, none. He just likes like going there physically, like adding chemicals or backwashing pools. And he likes, so one of our subcontractors, he's like 78, 79, and like he's our main subcontractor, so he talks with him and like puts him in that progress. So like
That's
he's kind of
hilarious.
coordinating like the subcontractor to do like fixed jobs, or he's actually, my dad's physically going there and
Power
like,
washing the pool.
not power washing, like backwashing or chlorinating pools, or dropping off chemicals or robots. Like a job that like, you know, anyone
Anyone can do. Yeah.
but he likes to do it, so I'm like, hey, it's your, and he wants to do it, so I'm like, you do, what's that? He's like, he doesn't want to touch anything to do with paperwork or HR or complaints.
Does he have a pickup truck too?
He has a van.
Did he ever have a pickup truck?
Yeah, he had the same truck I had.
Oh, that's.
And so now he's a big transit van. And so there's stuff in there, but
That's actually smart, because then he can park anywhere. He doesn't have to worry about it being broken into.
Mhm.
No windows.
no windows. But again, like my thought process is like a business owner, what he really should be doing is going to each pool location, checking in, talking with the drill managers, the property managers, how's the service. He doesn't want to. He likes to be behind the scenes, like doesn't want to interact. But again, he can do whatever he wants, and that's what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Because like I tried to take him out totally, and he didn't like that.
Wow.
So he likes doing that. So I like, hey, you want to do that? You do what
Go
you want.
for it. Do what you want to do.
He doesn't want to touch any paperwork. Doesn't want to do any invoicing,
And
billing.
does he get paid for all that stuff?
Of course.
Okay.
He gets paid whatever he wants.
That's so savage.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like at the end of the day, it's his business.
Do you sit down and you talk to him about how much his pay is or stuff like that, or no?
I just ask him. He gets whatever he wants.
That's so savage.
Yeah.
So does it change on a month-to-month basis, or is it yearly or quarterly that you guys? It's just whatever.
He tells me what he wants.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
Dude. That's amazing.
Because again, he put 30
He
years
built
of
the
work.
business,
he put 30
bro. He
years of
built
work in
it,
this.
yeah.
I just stepped in. I really just stepped into this 5 years. I mean, there could be an argument said for like my sister and I that there was a cost like since we're at birth because like you know we
You
were
guys worked for free for a long time.
yeah. There could be an argument said that there was a cost.
But he set this up.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm forever. It's his business. It's
Yeah.
not my business. And that again, the main reason I got involved in the first place was I couldn't watch my parents suffer
Yeah,
anymore.
100%.
And it's a beautiful thing now where like they're not suffering anymore.
Yeah.
Because like, I mean, it was unhealthy because
Tough,
like
yeah.
they were just like this because it was just everything was so hectic, chaotic, stressful. And it's nice to see like that's why I did it. But I also realized like it's not healthy for me now because I took anything that made like they didn't want to do was stressful and
Put it on your plate.
I took it. But now it's like I got it. It's like it's going to me, but like that's not fair to me now. So I got to find people and like you know give some of that, give that.
And it's finding the right person too, because it's like someone to understand the dynamic of the family and not frustrate your dad too. So I can see why it's not necessarily the easiest thing to find CEO for the business, you know, because the CEO might not necessarily. You need someone who understands and agrees with what's going on in terms of like the full understanding of even your dad's involvement in the business as well.
Mm-hmm. And it's the thing, it's like I have tremendous respect and like I could never the amount of work he put into this and like I'm just fortunate if I stepped into a already established business like I know or I have an idea of how much like
So difficult.
like that's the hardest part's like the escape velocity getting from like starting a business to actually getting to a place where it's like running.
Yeah.
That 5-year period or 3 to 5 year period is the hardest.
Yeah.
Like that's where most I think like
Fail.
90 or 80%, 95 fail.
Completely fail.
But once you get that, you punch through that, like that's when like you know you could actually like
You start to flourish.
yeah. So I was fortunate that I didn't have to go through that escape velocity. It was already there, but I'm trying to get to a pain now. The next evolution, which again, it's frustrating by realizing how much tremendous progress is like getting to a point where it's self-sustaining.
Yeah.
And then the next, so it's my logical viewpoint of business. Okay, so you start a business, you get to a point where you get the escape velocity where it's established, you're profitable. Next point, business is running itself. Next point after business running itself, business is generating new revenue by itself.
Yeah.
That's the real, like, I'm not there yet,
Yeah.
but the first goal is like self-sustaining, where we're at the current like revenue margins, and then the next one is it generates revenue,
Then
new
it has
sales
organic,
on its own.
Then it has organic.
It's
growth.
alive. It's
Yeah.
on its own. And that's what I realized. Like a business is a living thing.
It is.
It's
Yeah.
an organism. So it's the same thing. Like
It's the reason why they give it an EIN number.
but it's really a living thing.
Yeah.
And so like the cool thing is I realized like the more I put into it, the more I work on it, it grows or expands. Like same thing with a relationship or like anything that you put into. So like,
But
it's
you
cool.
want it to grow organically, though.
I want it to be self-sustaining, where I run stuff without me involved, and then the next step I want to grow acquire new sales without me involved. So it requires like somebody who has like the charismatic or outgoing personality, like the sales team. Like, we don't have any salespeople. We do actually. We turn down like new business because like we just don't. I don't have the capacity.
Yeah.
So it's a weird. We're in a weird spot.
Yeah.
It's like I literally this year, you know, I turned down the most pools ever in like,
Wow.
you know, but it is like, I mean, it's still like, you know, but our level of service is really good.
Optimal.
Because like something we never did before is like I reached out to every like general manager, all our contacts, like, hey, just checking how's our service been?
Yes.
Is there anything my team can improve on? Like just being
And you guys
proactive.
really took it to heart.
Yeah, I went because that's usually the problem is I'm usually like in the fall or in the spring, like next year renewing contracts, like this was wrong, this was wrong. I don't know. This is 6 months after, but I'm like, how do we be proactive? And so I reached out to everybody. I'm like, hey, how's my team doing? Is there anything we can improve upon? What have you? And like the feedback's been honestly like 95% of it's like been tremendously positive.
Wow.
But there's like 1 or 2 is like, hey, like this is wrong. I'm like, okay, boom, we address that. And so it's that next level. It's like predicting or being ahead.
And that retains that relationship.
So much better.
Because that pain point, that like it's not even a no-brainer. The review was like, okay, the cost has gone up by this much. Sign the dotted line. Right? It's not like
because we're not trying to be the low cost provider.
Yeah.
We're the white glove
comprehensive.
premium product in the space. Like I want to keep that, just because like I don't even want to be a low cost provider because like how I do anything is how I do everything.
Yeah.
So like I don't want to give like a low cost service. So like I'd rather be a smaller, at this point like smaller, like more selective, but give better service because like that's how I would want to do
I
it.
agree, man. I agree. I think
So-
it makes a lot of sense to do
Yeah.
it that way.
So like that's what we are, because like honestly, at a point my dad really wasn't. I mean, he always kind of was, but like
Volume. He seemed like a volume guy. You mentioned you had pools in New York, like 2 hours. He was just yes. We'll figure it out, and you end up losing a lot on the back end because it's like you don't have the capacity to service those pools. And you know when you start taking geographic locations by you know like you
now all our pools are with a 45-minute radius in my house. Because we used to have a pool that was like an hour and a half this way or 2 hours
You're
this way.
smart man.
Now and there's enough, and still within this 45
There's
minutes,
still pools that you still want, like you know what I mean?
there's so many country clubs. So like I could probably like double my business in that 45-minute,
I believe you.
maybe even triple. There's so many
I
country
believe
clubs.
you. I believe
So
you.
like that's where I'm working on. But I want to respect your time because this man is getting
Yeah, I'm
staying
trying-
consistent.
I'm trying to be consistent in the gym,
But I appreciate you coming out here, my friend.
No,
It's always a
anytime,
pleasure.
brother, anytime, brother.
But I think like the main reason we talked about like the relationship thing, I think I'm the same viewpoint. Like when I find that person, like we're making this work, divorce is not on the table. Like that
It's not.
conversation is not coming up. Like we're gonna put that in there that like no matter what happens, but that's not even we're not bringing it up. We're not
No.
joking about it. Like
Yeah.
that's a non-thing.
Yeah.
But I think you're the next level is like, okay, that's already, you know, that's not a thing. But be ahead is like, okay, so divorce is on the table, but you could still be in a marriage, but not in a marriage.
Yeah.
So I think that's the next level. Is like people think a lot of people are in marriages because they're like, we're staying together, but they're not
Dude.
actually together.
Exactly.
So I think that's a mindful thing is like, is it just you're stubborn and you're just like being together because like you're like, I'm not gonna get divorced and like whatever that is, but we gotta let go and maybe like, okay, we gotta talk and see like why this isn't working or like why are we not sharing the bed anymore or like why
Yeah.
do you Like we don't talk
We
anymore.
don't
We used to.
eat dinner together. Like, you know, just
We
little
don't
things.
spend.
Yeah.
We don't do date night anymore. Like we don't like carve out time for us. Or you seem like you hate me. Like
Literally.
But I think it's like, I think it's just like being willing to be vulnerable, I guess, and have those conversations. I realize it's like it's better to like
Get ahead of something.
Yes.
And to allow it to
to have the
just fester.
uncomfortable conversation. It's like, hey, like what you're doing, what you did that day really hurt me, or like what's going on I don't like, and like it's got to like kind of be vulnerable.
Yeah.
But like put that out there versus like it goes 5-10 years and like
Bro.
you don't even know why we're
At that
talking
point,
anymore.
it's not even sand under the rug. It's a mountain under the rug. Y'all are walking around the room like this because there's just so much stuff that was swept under the rug that you can't even see across the room.
And that was me. Like I was as a former people pleaser. Like you let things go, and then it gets to a point where it's like
Just explode.
it's like I can't do this anymore, and it's like, well, what happened? It's like, well, I didn't have those difficult conversations because I was wanting to please you, and it led to actually the most worst case scenario where we're not together anymore.
Straight up fallout.
Because it's just like by trying to start unpacking it, like you said, as I'm pulling the
And
Jenga
you know,
pieces out.
and like, you know, looking at your past relationships, the other people had fault too.
We all fall. Yeah.
But and you know, they weren't also healthy for you. Like, quite honestly,
Yeah.
like no matter how much of a space you were in, like those people still had their issues. Like,
Yeah, we all
they
have
weren't
issues.
weren't fit to be be the mother of your children.
But we all have issues.
Just telling you.
Yeah.
Just letting you
It
know.
is like it wasn't all your fault.
It wasn't all your fault. Like,
Yeah,
those
but
people,
we all have
it was
issues.
not meant to be as well.
I think too. I think it's like forcing things too is not good.
Don't force things. Just because someone's nice to you, nice for you for a season doesn't mean like they're the one. Like, you know, so especially specifically your past relationship, just wanted to say that, like, you know, there are learning experiences and what you should not be going for.
Yes, sir.
Look forward.
But thank you for tuning in, everybody.
Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Have a great day.
And girls. That was a good one.
Oh, that was great.
It's like Rocky and Creed.